We're here for something that feels like Groundhog Day, yet another proposed electric rate hike in the state of Connecticut. And we're here to urge PURA to do everything they can to stop this impending rate hike. 11% on the electric bills overall, 35% in the delivery charge, according to reports. This on top of the fact that Connecticut, after 8 years of Ned Lamont, is now the second highest electric rate state in the entire country. So not only are we calling on PURA to do whatever they can to stop this rate hike, but we're also calling on the state government and the governor himself to do what they can to provide immediate relief. There's no excuse after 8 years on the job for your state having the second highest electric bills in the entire country. And there's no sense to releasing a campaign ad just yesterday when people are still recovering from a storm, where the storm response was leaving much to be desired, saying that we're going to hold Eversource accountable. Well, you've had 8 years on the job to do that. And by their fruits you shall know them. And the fruits say that after 8 years of the Lamont administration, electric rates have risen faster than other parts of the country, to the point that we have the second highest electric bills in the country. But we are not just here to cast stones. We are saying very clearly, PURA, do everything you can to stop this proposed 11% rate hike, and for the people in charge of this state government to take action, and to take action immediately to provide relief. Many of my colleagues behind me and I, who are in the state legislature, have been constructive. Every single year, multiple times a year, we have proposed specific actions which would provide immediate relief. And even today, we could call the legislature back into session if there was leadership in place to do so that could provide relief that is substantial for families that are hurting, for small businesses that are struggling to keep the doors open, keep their people employed, and provide vital services to the public. They deserve real leadership. They deserve a positive change. That's what our campaign is all about. We are not just here to cast stones. We are here to offer alternative leadership, affordability, and solutions. So I would like to introduce some of my friends and colleagues behind me who understand the costs, the struggles that people are facing every day under the weight of these sky-high bills and electric rates. First, I'd like to introduce Dawn Mariano, who is a small business owner and local leader here in Waterbury.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dawn Mariano, as Ryan said. My family's been part of the Waterbury small business landscape for over 119 years. And I stand here today not just as a small business owner, but as someone who's spent years investing in Waterbury, creating jobs, serving families, and serving our community. Running a small business has never been easy, as most of us know, but today it's becoming nearly impossible. But not because we're not working hard enough, because God knows we are, but because the cost of doing business constantly is climbing. Here in Waterbury, as most of you know, we pay some of the highest property taxes in the state. And now on top of that, we're hit with Eversource rate increases, as well as random new fees every month. Small business owners have done our part, I promise you. We've upgraded to energy efficient heating and cooling systems. We've invested thousands of dollars converting our historic buildings in Waterbury to LED lighting. We've made the responsible choices because we were told that it would reduce energy consumption and help control our costs. But where is Eversource? Where are they in this equation? While families and businesses struggle to pay their monthly bills, Eversource continues to inflate rates, and they reward their top-tier executives with enormous compensation packages. Meanwhile, the people who are actually powering Connecticut's economy, our small businesses, are left wondering, how much higher is my bill going to be next month? I'm watching friends and fellow business owners retire earlier than planned or just close their businesses completely, not because they want to, but because they simply can't afford to keep the lights on. And make no mistake, everyone, these costs don't just stop with business owners. Every Eversource increase eventually shows up in the price of products, services, and in every meal you eat. Every consumer pays for this. Connecticut can't continue down this path at all. We need leaders who understand that affordable energy is essential to Connecticut's healthy economy. We need someone who will stand up for ratepayers instead of protecting the status quo. And that's why I believe we need Ryan Fazio in the governor's office, because we need leadership who will fight for working families, fight for small businesses, and who will demand accountability, because Connecticut's future and Waterbury's future depends on it. Thank you, and thank you for having me, Ryan.
Thank you, Dawn. That was so well said. I'd also like to introduce someone who knows about small business and the struggle of this state's economy very well himself, my running mate and friend, Matt Corey.
You see, it's an election year, and you hear the governor at the moment say he's going to do everything he can to hold Eversource responsible. Well, where was he with the last bill that was passed? Shouldn't the people who are paying for this Green New Deal, this green energy deal that is not lowering our electric rates, shouldn't the people that are paying for that know what they have to pay? So what the governor says to Eversource is, if you go over and it's costing you too much money, you can pass those costs on to the ratepayers. Well, what are those costs? We don't hear anything about that. As a small business owner, as someone who's seen businesses leave the state of Connecticut year after year after year because of the high cost of doing business in the state of Connecticut, we need change. We need change, and we need it now. That's why I'm proud to run with Senator Ryan Fazio for our governor, because he will bring that change. He has a proven record of voting to lower your electric rates, and that's what we need here in the state of Connecticut. Somebody that stands by what they say, not to tell you what they want you to hear. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Matt. I would also like to introduce two good friends and great voices for the residents of Waterbury. First, Senator Rob Sampson.
Thank you, Ryan. I'm excited to stand here with my colleagues and our next governor, Senator Ryan Fazio, to express what everybody already knows, which is that affordability is at top of everyone's mind across Connecticut. And residents of our state, they just simply cannot afford another double-digit increase in electric rates. It's been frustrating serving in the legislature, putting forward bills that are ignored by the majority, ignored by this governor, being involved in petition drives, being involved in rallies, some of our own making, some of citizens getting together, expressing their own frustration, and no action has been taken. That's got to change. I'm excited to be here, surrounded by friends who share the same concern, and we're going to make it happen, folks. We're going to bring this message to the people of Connecticut. More and more people are going to become aware that when they open their electric bill and they're upset, that the decisions that are made by our state government are actually impacting their daily lives. And I think as that happens, more and more people are going to decide that it's time to get involved and make a different choice about who they're electing to represent them. And I'm proud to stand with the team that's going to do it the right way going forward. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Senator. And I'd also like to introduce my friend, State Representative for Waterbury, Bill Pizzuto.
Thank you. It's an honor to have our future governor, Ryan Fazio, here with us today. As you know, Mavs Love's needs include food, safety, shelter. Should electricity be added to that? Absolutely. When I was a kid, if you lost power, you lit a candle for a day or two. No more. You can't charge your cell phone, it's panic. More importantly, it keeps your house running. And so if you look at, and I'll give you this quick scenario, there was a small town mayor that came to speak with an Eversource executive. And he said, I make $32,900 a year as a small town mayor. You, sir, make $37,000 a day. And he was absolutely right. And he says, you're asking our small town to raise our rates. So there's something wrong with that scenario. People are choosing between food and shelter right now, and now we're going to raise their rates even more in the worst time of the year. So what my previous colleagues had said, our future governor, Ryan Fazio, is putting his heart and soul behind helping to lower the rates that PURA and Eversource are trying to raise. Thank you for your time, and please support our next governor. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Let's remember the clear record. When you put out a TV ad and you say we're going to hold Eversource accountable, did you do that in 2021 when you supported a rate settlement that increased Eversource profit by tens of millions of dollars above what the draft decision of PURA was? Were you holding Eversource accountable when in 2024, 2025, you supported a sweetheart deal for Eversource to sell its water subsidiary for hundreds of millions of dollars more above market, because that new water utility would not have to be subject to PURA regulation for its rates, above the objections of even Democrats? Were you supporting ratepayers in 2026 when you signed House Bill 5340, which will increase our public benefits charges and our electric bill by billions of dollars over the next 30 years? The record of this governor is clear. He's not holding our utilities accountable, and he's inflating the cost of energy and utilities year after year. We are here to offer a positive alternative, not just for the long term, but also to provide immediate relief. We could make reforms tomorrow in this state to reduce the supply costs and the hidden taxes in our bill, including the RPS, including the RGGI, with even minor tweaks. We could limit the costs in future public benefits charges as well, and we could ensure that there is proper and strong oversight of the utilities, so we have an environment in Connecticut where people can have confidence that they're going to get good service affordably, where they can afford to make ends meet at the end of every month, where small businesses can thrive and Connecticut can grow again. So thank you all for being here. We're happy to take any questions.
What specifically would you do differently to add oversight to the utilities and the rate requests?
Yeah, good question. I think if you look over the past several years, the Aquarion sale was something from day one that I had been in opposition of. And this governor pushed it through over a 2-year period, despite the fact that even the Attorney General and his own Consumer Counsel were in opposition to it. I've passed legislation into law on a bipartisan basis that require now repeated rate cases or disallow settlements outside of the rate case making procedure, which would have been useful in 2021 when the governor supported 2 straight out-of-court settlements. There needs to be, in all the decisions PURA makes, there needs to be a consideration of carrying costs and long-term costs as well. But more importantly, there is immediate cost relief that could be achieved by reforming and reducing the hidden taxes in our electric bill. The RGGI is going to probably double this year. That's an embedded tax in the supply portion of your electric bill, going from 70 or 80 million to 140 or 150 million. And Connecticut could make reforms to credit 100% of that money back to ratepayers. Instead, it's going to government programs that are already paid for through the public benefits charge. We could reform the RPS, which is also a hidden tax in the supply portion of your bill, to reduce the subsidies that go to private energy production companies. So there are things we could do immediately here that will reduce costs. In the interim, we're also calling on PURA to do everything they can to stop the rate hikes and as prudently, as carefully, as rigorously as possible vet these rate increase requests.
Can I follow up on the public benefits charge, because it's something that's been out there for a while, and there was some confusion.
Yeah.
Right? And so there is some relief right now, but it's temporary, right? It's going to come back. But Democrats have criticized you for saying that, well, you're going to take care of the public benefits charge, but you're going to put it in the general budget and taxpayers are going to pay it.
Yeah, I find it so ironic because they've been accusing me of that for years, but when I negotiated SB4 in 2025, which was the first progress we've seen of any sorts, because my colleagues and I have been pushing for relief for so long, they were the ones negotiating against me, saying we need to borrow more, we need to bond more in order to reduce the bills over the next 2 years leading up to an election year. When I was saying borrowing's not the answer, we need to have real long-term cuts to public benefits programs. I'm calling for some of the programs to be funded through the state budget process, but most of the programs to be phased out or eliminated, because most of the hidden taxes we're paying either in the supply charge or the public benefits charge are actually subsidies to private corporations, private energy production companies. So just imagine, we have a state and we have an administration that supports policies that says a senior on a fixed income who's struggling to get by in Connecticut should be paying higher electric bills to subsidize the profits of private energy companies. That's wrong. That's what we stand against. And I am for reducing the absolute costs. And there are several programs like energy efficiency I think could be shifted through the budget process, and they would still have to come in under the spending cap.
Because I think there are some people who, once they're told what the public benefits charges are, some of them, they agree. Is there anything specific that you feel should be put in the budget and continue to be funded?
Yeah, I think some of the demand response and energy efficiency programs to try to reduce energy demand have validity, and yes, they should be made more cost effective. I am concerned they're probably 2x of what they need to cost, but things like demand response to reduce demand when it's hot or cold are probably a necessary program, and those should be funded through a normal budgetary process where they could be vetted every 2 years. So that's specifically what type of things I would support. But all these subsidies for private energy corporations, which constitute most of the hidden taxes in our bills, are not on the up and up and should be ended or phased out.
And can you comment on the big behemoth in the room, which some feel is that Eversource, they haven't asked for a formal rate hike in 13 years, but they want 300,000 documents to be confidential. Should that be allowed?
No, there needs to be transparency. If there's a clear security concern or privacy concerns about, frontline employees, that's one thing. But I'm very concerned that when you have that many documents being kept private, that it's going to make it more difficult for PURA to do its job of oversight. So there needs to be transparency, and I would call on PURA and Eversource to require transparency as much as humanly possible.
Ryan, can I follow up on the accountability stuff? Because, there's a lot of talk today, about holding the utilities accountable, not rubber stamping their rate request. But Marissa Gillette was very aggressive at PURA about, rejecting rate requests. And it ended up not only leading to a lawsuit, but a lot of Republicans criticized her for, creating a hostile regulatory environment and making it so they couldn't invest in the system. So I guess I'm just trying to understand the disconnect.
That's a very good question, because we need regulators that are tough, but there needs to be predictability, because we do want investment in the state. And so some of the disagreements I had with the former PURA board and chair were that some of the decision seems a little capricious, and there was concerns about Freedom of Information Act requests that were not fully complied with. So those were where a lot of the concerns arose from. But having a PURA board, which I hope this one will be, that is tough but also predictable in its rulings, I think is what ratepayers should want to see.
The tough but predictable, meaning people know what to expect 6 months down the road, a year from now, not just dealing with things as they come.
Exactly.
Senator, Eversource has certainly had no problem with suing PURA when they thought that they could affect the process. Do you feel like, do you worry that press conferences like this could bring another lawsuit?
Well, I'm not afraid, and I think that the residents of this state want leaders who are willing to stand up and speak up, not just when it's election time. You know, we have the full force of a attorney general and hundreds of lawyers on the staff of the state government that should be able to defend the interests of the public in this state, and that's what they should be oriented towards. That's why we pay taxes. That's why we have the attorney general's departments. But I've been willing to speak up against the rate hikes, against the overreach, even when it's not election time. Even in 2024 with the sweetheart deal sell of Aquarion. Even in 2021 with the out of PURA case settlement that increased profits for Eversource above what the draft decision was. I think it's very unfortunate that it's only at election time that this governor is willing to stand up for what's right and stand up for ratepayers.
Can I just ask something too that I found pretty surprising is that Eversource said that to redact these documents it would cost $800,000. It's really not very much for that.
Not only that, but I don't think it should cost $800,000 to redact documents. You know, listen, here's the balance. We give a utility a natural monopoly because it would be too costly or ineffective to have competition for poles and wires, but in return, there is transparency and accountability and regulation. I'm as free market a guy as there is. Where's Rob? Did he leave? Perfect. I'm as free market a guy as there is, but when you have the case of a natural monopoly, you need regulation and oversight. So the balance of you get a natural monopoly is that you have to provide transparency and there has to be accountability.
So also have a built-in profit level, so do you think that needs to be adjusted?
Well, I've already been a supporter of adjusting it. I co-authored Senate Bill 4 a couple years ago that reduce the rate of return in the transmission projects, because the profit for transmission projects specifically had gone up at a faster pace than other parts of the electric bill. By contrast, in 2021, this governor supported a settlement out of the normal PURA rate making process that gave PURA more profit than they were given in the draft decision by PURA. So I think the record of myself, you know, standing up for ratepayers and the governor only speaking up at election time is very clear.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Well done, sir.
Thanks, guys.
Well done.
Thanks for being here.